Ladies and gentlemen, life is full of distractions, people, opinions, expectations that pull you in 1,000 different directions. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your days chasing approval, trying to hold on to those who have already let go of you and losing yourself in the process. But here's the truth. You cannot build a meaningful life while clinging to what is no longer meant for you. You must focus on yourself, your growth, your discipline, your purpose. Because if you don't, no one else will. You see, too many people waste years trying to convince others of their worth, seeking validation from those who have already made up their minds. But that's a losing game. Your value is not determined by their acceptance. Your future is not dictated by their presence. So let them go. Not with bitterness, not with resentment, but with clarity and strength. Because every moment you spend chasing those who don't belong in your life is a moment stolen from the person you are meant to become. And that, my friends, is the real tragedy. Let's talk about what it truly means to focus on yourself and why walking away is often the most powerful thing you can do. Your growth is your responsibility, not theirs. No one is coming to save you, and no one is going to hand you the life you dream of. The world is not structured in a way that guarantees fairness or recognition simply for existing. It rewards effort, discipline, and the willingness to take responsibility for oneself. People often look outward for validation, waiting for someone to tell them they are on the right path, waiting for someone to push them forward. But that waiting game is a trap. The longer you wait for external permission to grow, the more time you waste. Growth is an internal process. It is not something that happens because of luck, fate, or the goodwill of others. It happens when you make the conscious decision to become better than you were yesterday. And that decision is yours alone. Too many people blame their circumstances, their upbringing, or the people around them for their lack of progress. They hold on to resentment, convinced that if only someone had believed in them, if only someone had given them a chance, they would be further ahead. But that mindset is poison. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of dependency, looking for external solutions to internal problems. The truth is, no one else is obligated to invest in your growth. If someone helps you, that's a gift, not a guarantee. You cannot build your future on the expectation that others will see your potential and nurture it. Some people may recognize your talent, but they will not do the work for you. Even those who care about you deeply have their own struggles, their own ambitions, and their own limitations. Expecting them to carry you forward only sets you up for disappointment. This is why self-discipline is so critical. Growth requires effort, consistency, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. It demands that you take ownership of your habits, your mindset, and your daily actions. Every day presents a choice. Move forward or remain the same. Those who focus on themselves and commit to personal development understand that excuses and blame will never lead to progress. They take action despite challenges, despite setbacks, and despite the lack of external support. It is tempting to believe that if the right people surrounded you, if the right opportunities came your way, growth would be effortless. But personal growth is never effortless. It requires struggle, and that struggle is necessary. The adversity you face is what sharpens you. You face is what sharpens you. It forces you to develop resilience, adaptability, and mental toughness. And these qualities cannot be given to you. They must be earned. Many people fall into the trap of seeking validation from others before they allow themselves to grow. They hesitate to pursue their goals unless someone else approves. They fear judgment, criticism, and rejection. But waiting for permission is another form of procrastination. It is a way of avoiding responsibility, of shifting the burden onto someone else. True growth begins when you stop seeking validation and start acting in alignment with your own values and ambitions. The moment you decide to take full responsibility for your growth, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation and start creating discipline. You stop seeking shortcuts and commit to the process. You stop blaming others and focus on what you can control. This shift in mindset is what separates those who succeed from those who stagnate. There will be moments when you feel isolated in your pursuit of growth. Not everyone will understand your journey. Some will doubt you, some will criticize you, and some will try to pull you back into old habits. This is where most people falter. They allow the fear of standing alone to keep them stuck in places they have outgrown. But growth often requires solitude. It requires breaking away from environments that no longer serve you, from relationships that hinder your progress, and from mindsets that keep you small. One of the greatest challenges in personal growth is overcoming the fear of outgrowing others. There is an unspoken pressure to remain the same, to fit into the expectations that others have of you. When you start changing, when you start elevating your mindset and your standards, not everyone will be supportive. Some will feel threatened by your progress because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. But you cannot let that stop you. You cannot shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You must develop the ability to recognize when you are compromising your growth for the sake of external approval. And you must be willing to walk away from situations and people that no longer align with your vision. This is not selfish. It is necessary. It is necessary. The more you take responsibility for your own growth, the more you realize that your time and energy are your most valuable assets. You cannot afford to waste them on things that do not contribute to your progress. There will always be external obstacles, doubt from others, lack of resources, unexpected challenges. But these are not the real barriers to growth. The real barrier is internal, the willingness to take full responsibility for your own development. No one else will do it for you. Letting go is not losing, it's making room for better. People hold on to things, relationships, and circumstances long past their expiration date because they are afraid of the unknown. They believe that if they let go, they will be left with nothing. That fear keeps them stuck, clinging to situations that no longer serve them, draining their energy and preventing them from moving forward. But what they fail to realize is that by refusing to let go, they are closing themselves off from opportunities that could bring them growth, peace, and fulfillment. Letting go is often misunderstood. People associate it with failure. But in reality, it is one of the most powerful things a person can do. It requires self-awareness, courage, and trust. It means acknowledging that something is no longer meant for you and having the strength to walk away, even when it's difficult. It is not about forgetting the past or pretending it never mattered. It is about understanding that holding on to something that no longer aligns with your future will only hold you back. People often stay in situations out of familiarity. The mind craves certainty, even if that certainty is harmful. A toxic relationship, an unfulfilling job, a negative environment. These things may be damaging, but they are known, and that familiarity creates a false sense of security. The unknown, on the other hand, feels terrifying. People would rather stay in a situation that makes them unhappy than take the risk of stepping into something new. But growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you have the courage to release what is no longer working and make space for what will. Fear plays a major role in the struggle to let go. Fear of loneliness, fear of regret, fear of making the wrong choice. The mind creates endless scenarios, making you believe that if you let go, you will suffer. But more often than not, the suffering comes from holding on, not from releasing. When you let go, you free yourself from the burden of trying to force something that is no longer meant to be. You create space for new opportunities, new experiences, and new connections that align with who you are becoming. Letting go also requires trust. Trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust that what is meant for you will find you. It is easy to believe that if you walk away, you will never find anything better. That mindset comes from scarcity, from the belief that there is only so much love, success, and happiness to go around. But life does not work that way. When you release what is not serving you, you open yourself up to abundance. You make room for relationships that are healthy, careers that are fulfilling, and experiences that bring genuine joy. Many people struggle with letting go because they feel they have invested too much. They tell themselves that they have put in too much time, too much effort, and too much emotion to walk away now. They convince themselves that if they just try harder, things will change. But the reality is, no amount of effort can make something work if it is not meant to. Staying in a situation out of guilt or obligation is not noble. It is self-sabotage. You cannot build a future on something that is already broken. The process of letting go is not easy. It comes with discomfort, with sadness, with moments of doubt. But what many people fail to realize is that the pain of holding on often outweighs the pain of letting go. The weight of carrying something that no longer serves you drains your energy, lowers your self-worth, and keeps you trapped in a cycle of frustration. True freedom comes when you recognize that you are not losing anything by letting go. You are gaining the opportunity to create a life that aligns with your highest potential. Letting go is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that you will no longer settle for less than what you deserve. It is a commitment to your growth, your happiness, and your future. It means refusing to stay in places where you are not valued, refusing to chase people who do not see your worth, and refusing to hold on to things that prevent you from moving forward. The more you hold on to what is not meant for you, the less space you have for what is. And the longer you cling to the past, the longer you delay the future that is waiting for you. No. Chasing approval weakens your sense of self. From an early age, people are conditioned to seek validation from others. They are taught to be agreeable, to fit in, to gain acceptance by conforming to expectations. This need for approval becomes ingrained, shaping decisions, behaviors, and even identities. Over time, people begin to measure their worth by how others perceive them, by how much praise they receive, and by how well they meet external standards. They become trapped in a cycle of seeking validation, constantly adjusting themselves to gain approval, often at the cost of their authenticity. The problem with chasing approval is that it places control of your self-worth in the hands of others. Instead of developing an internal sense of confidence and direction, you become dependent on feedback from the outside world. When approval is given, you feel valued. When it is withheld, you feel unworthy. This dependency creates instability because opinions are unpredictable. What pleases one person may disappoint another. What is celebrated today may be criticized tomorrow. Living for external validation means constantly shifting, never truly grounded in who you are. People who chase approval often silence their true thoughts and desires. They suppress their individuality out of fear of rejection. They avoid taking risks that could lead to disapproval. They hesitate to express opinions that might be controversial. Over time, this erodes their ability to trust themselves. The more they conform to gain acceptance, the more disconnected they become from their authentic identity. They lose sight of what they truly want, what they believe in, and what makes them unique. Another consequence of seeking approval is that it makes you vulnerable to manipulation. When people recognize that you crave their validation, they gain power over you. They can influence your decisions by threatening to withdraw their approval. They can make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. They can pressure you into actions that do not align with your values. This is why people pleasers often find themselves in one-sided relationships, overcommitted to obligations that drain them and unable to set healthy boundaries. The fear of disappointing others keeps them stuck in situations that do not serve them. The pursuit of approval also leads to exhaustion. Constantly trying to meet expectations, gain recognition, and avoid criticism is mentally and emotionally draining. It creates anxiety, as you are always questioning whether you are doing enough, whether you are saying the right things, whether you are being perceived the way you want to be. This stress takes a toll, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from your own needs. When you prioritize how others see you over how you feel inside, you sacrifice your peace of mind. One of the biggest dangers of approval seeking is that it limits personal growth. Even true growth requires the courage to make decisions that may not be popular. It demands the willingness to stand alone, to go against the grain, to trust your instincts even when others doubt you. But when your focus is on approval, you avoid anything that could lead to rejection. You hesitate to take bold steps. You remain within the confines of what is socially acceptable, missing out on opportunities to challenge yourself and evolve. Breaking free from the need for validation requires a shift in perspective. It begins with recognizing that approval is fleeting, but self-respect is lasting. The opinions of others are subjective and ever-changing, but your relationship with yourself is permanent. Learning to trust yourself, to validate your own choices, and to stand by your convictions is what builds genuine confidence. It is the ability to act in alignment with your values, regardless of whether or not it is met with applause. Many people fear that if they stop seeking approval, they will become isolated or unlikable. But the opposite is often true. When you are authentic, when you are secure in who you are, you attract people who genuinely appreciate you. Relationships built on authenticity are stronger than those built on the fragile foundation of people-pleasing. Real respect comes not from endless accommodation, but from having the courage to be yourself, even in the face of disapproval. Letting go of approval seeking does not mean disregarding others entirely. It does not mean refusing feedback or rejecting meaningful connections. It simply means that your worth is not contingent upon external validation. It means that you no longer shape your identity around what will make you more likable or accepted. It is a commitment to living in alignment with your values rather than bending to fit the expectations of others. Discipline and purpose must outweigh distraction. Every day, people are bombarded with countless distractions: social media, entertainment, meaningless conversations, temporary pleasures. The modern world is designed to pull attention in multiple directions, making it easy to lose focus on what truly matters. Many people find themselves constantly busy yet unfulfilled, consumed by activities that do not contribute to their long-term goals. The problem is not a lack of ambition, but a lack of discipline. Without discipline, purpose remains just an idea, a vision that never turns into reality. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when motivation fades. It is the foundation of all success, the force that separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream about them. Motivation is fleeting, often dependent on mood, energy, or circumstances, but discipline is consistent. It is waking up early to work on your goals when you would rather sleep in. It is choosing progress over comfort, effort over excuses, and long-term rewards over immediate gratification. One of the biggest challenges people face is the temptation of instant gratification. The mind naturally seeks pleasure and avoids discomfort. This is why so many people struggle to stay committed to their goals. They start with enthusiasm, but quickly lose momentum when they realize progress requires sacrifice. They get distracted by temporary pleasures, scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows, engaging in gossip. These distractions provide quick dopamine hits, making them feel good in the moment, but they ultimately steal time, energy, and focus from meaningful pursuits. Purpose gives direction, but discipline fuels the journey. Having a clear sense of purpose means knowing why you are doing what you are doing. It is the deep reason behind your actions, the thing that drives you forward even when obstacles arise. Without a strong sense of purpose, discipline feels like a burden. But when purpose is clear, discipline becomes a tool for growth rather than a form of restriction. It shifts from being something you have to do to something you choose to do because it aligns with what you truly want. Many people claim they want success, but their actions tell a different story. They say they want to be fit, but they do not commit to regular exercise. They say they want financial freedom, but they spend money recklessly. They say they want to build a meaningful life, but they allow distractions to consume their time. The difference between those who achieve and those who stay stagnant is not intelligence, luck, or talent. It is discipline. It is the ability to stay focused on the bigger picture despite the endless distractions trying to pull them off course. One of the greatest enemies of discipline is procrastination. People convince themselves that they will start tomorrow, that they will take action when they feel ready. But readiness is an illusion. If you wait until you feel like doing something, you will never do it. The mind will always find an excuse to delay, to avoid discomfort, to stay in a place of ease. The only way to overcome procrastination is to act, to start before you feel prepared, to commit even when it is uncomfortable. Action creates momentum, and momentum fuels discipline. The ability to say no is another crucial aspect of discipline. Every choice comes with an opportunity cost. Time spent on distractions is time not spent on growth. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear missing out or disappointing others, but discipline requires prioritization. It means being intentional with time and energy, eliminating what does not contribute to your goals. It means recognizing that every yes to a distraction is a no to progress. The most successful people are not those who do the most, but those who focus on what matters most. Discipline is not about being rigid or living a life devoid of enjoyment. It is about balance, knowing when to work and when to rest, when to push forward and when to recover. It is about developing habits that support long-term goals rather than constantly chasing temporary pleasure. When discipline is strong, distractions lose their power. They no longer dictate actions because the mind is focused, the purpose is clear, and the commitment is unshakable. Emotional independence is the foundation of true strength. Many people go through life allowing their emotions to be dictated by external circumstances, by the actions of others, by the approval or disapproval they receive, by the outcomes they cannot control. They become prisoners to the moods, opinions, and behaviors of those around them. When others praise them, they feel worthy. When others criticize them, they feel small. When relationships go well, they are happy. When they face rejection, they crumble. This dependence on external validation creates instability, leaving them vulnerable to manipulation, disappointment, and emotional exhaustion. True strength comes from within. It is not found in how much control you have over others, but in how much control you have over yourself. Emotional independence means learning to regulate your own thoughts and feelings rather than allowing them to be dictated by external factors. It is about developing an unshakable core, a sense of self that remains steady regardless of what is happening around you. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected by life's challenges. It means acknowledging emotions without being controlled by them. One of the biggest obstacles to emotional independence is attachment. People attach their happiness to things they cannot control: relationships, careers, outcomes, and external recognition. They believe that if they can just get others to behave a certain way, or if they can achieve a certain status, they will feel secure. But this mindset places their well-being in the hands of forces they cannot command. When things go as they wish, they feel powerful. When things do not, they feel powerless. The truth is, control over others is an illusion. The only thing a person truly has control over is their own mindset, actions, and reactions. Emotional independence is the ability to validate yourself. Many people seek constant reassurance from others, looking for confirmation that they are good enough, lovable enough, and successful enough. This endless search for validation makes them easy to manipulate. When someone withholds approval, they feel insecure. When someone criticizes them, they doubt themselves. But when a person learns to validate themselves, they become free. They no longer need external confirmation to know their worth. They understand that their value does not fluctuate based on someone else's perception. People often mistake emotional independence for isolation, believing that it means not caring about others or shutting people out. But emotional independence is not about rejecting relationships. It is about entering them from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. A person who depends on others to complete them will always feel incomplete. They will place unfair expectations on relationships, expecting others to provide happiness, security, and self-worth. This often leads to disappointment because no one else can fill the gaps that only self-growth can address. Another key aspect of emotional independence is the ability to manage rejection and failure. Many people take rejection personally, believing it is a reflection of their inadequacy. They dwell on what went wrong, internalizing it as proof that they are not good enough. But rejection is not an indication of unworthiness. It is simply redirection. Emotionally independent individuals understand that failure and rejection are part of life, not defining moments. They do not let setbacks break them because their self-worth is not built on external outcomes. Learning to detach from the opinions of others is a crucial step in emotional independence. People will always have opinions, judgments, and criticisms, often based on their own fears, biases, and insecurities. If you live your life trying to please everyone, you will never be free. Emotionally independent people listen to feedback, but they do not let it control them. They evaluate criticism objectively, taking what is useful and discarding what is not. They do not allow fear of judgment to dictate their choices. Emotional independence also requires setting boundaries. Many people feel responsible for the emotions of others, taking on guilt and obligation to keep others happy. They overextend themselves, saying yes when they want to say no, sacrificing their own needs to avoid disappointing people. But true strength comes from understanding that you are not responsible for managing how others feel. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect. It is recognizing that you have the right to protect your peace and that prioritizing your well-being does not make you a bad person. When emotional independence is developed, life becomes more stable. External circumstances no longer dictate happiness. Criticism no longer wounds as deeply, and rejection no longer feels like a personal attack. Strength comes not from controlling everything around you, but from mastering yourself. Walking away is an act of power. Many people stay in situations that no longer serve them out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of regret, fear of loneliness. They convince themselves that holding on is a sign of strength. that enduring mistreatment or unfulfilling circumstances is the noble choice. But true strength is not found in clinging to what hurts you. It is found in having the courage to walk away from what no longer aligns with your values, your growth, and your peace. It is understanding that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every person is meant to stay. And not every situation is worth saving. People often hesitate to walk away because they believe their investment of time, energy, or emotions has created a permanent bond. They tell themselves that if they leave now, all their effort will have been wasted. But staying in a place that drains you simply because you have already given so much is a trap. The time and energy you have spent are already gone. What matters now is whether you will continue to invest in something that depletes you or redirect your energy towards something that fulfills you. Walking away does not mean giving up. It means recognizing when something is no longer worth your time. It is about understanding that your loyalty should not be given to those who take you for granted, that your energy should not be wasted on things that no longer contribute to your growth. Many people remain in toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and draining friendships because they believe leaving is an act of failure. But failure is not found in walking away. It is found in staying where you are not valued. The ability to walk away requires self-respect. It means refusing to tolerate mistreatment, refusing to settle for less than you deserve, and refusing to compromise your peace for the sake of pleasing others. It is about recognizing that you are not obligated to remain in places where you feel unappreciated, unheard, or unfulfilled. It is understanding that no matter how much you care about someone or something, your well-being must come first. Fear often keeps people trapped. The fear of being alone, the fear of judgment, the fear that they will never find something better. But fear is not a reason to stay in a situation that is slowly eroding your happiness. Growth does not happen in comfort. Walking away is difficult because it requires stepping into uncertainty. It demands faith. Faith that leaving something behind will open the door to something greater. There will always be people who try to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. They will accuse you of being selfish, of abandoning them, of making the wrong decision. But their reaction is not a reflection of your choice. It is a reflection of their inability to accept it. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always resist when you enforce them. But walking away is not about them. It is about you, your peace, and your future. Letting go of what no longer serves you creates space for what is meant for you. When you hold on to relationships that drain you, you block the opportunity for healthier connections. When you remain in situations that stifle your growth, you prevent yourself from reaching your full potential. Walking away is not an ending. It is a new beginning. It is a chance to reclaim your energy, to refocus on yourself, and to build a life that aligns with your highest purpose. Many people fear that walking away will leave them with nothing. But what they fail to realize is that staying in the wrong place already leaves them empty. Choosing yourself is not a loss. It is the ultimate act of self-empowerment. It is proof that you are willing to prioritize your happiness, that you trust yourself enough to step away from what no longer serves you, and that you believe in your ability to create something better.